to Global Connectors plus Social Good. I want to send a special welcome to everyone who's watching online, and in addition to, of course, those folks who are here in the room with us today. We're here because over the course of yesterday and today, we've got folks from 18 different people from 15 different countries who are amongst the community of advisors and connectors who are helping to shape and lead the Plus Social Good community. These are people who are innovative, they're influential, they're inspired, and they're international in their thinking. And that's why they are part of this group of people who are helping us develop, shape, and strategize about what this community is and what it should be and what it can become. They are helping us think about how to use technology and social media to help drive positive social change on the big global issues. So to give you a little bit of background on how we got here and what this means, I think there are some people, I had a chance to talk with some of you this morning, and some people said very frankly, I've heard of this, it sounds great, I've heard about it from friends, I've seen a little bit of content, but I'm not quite sure that I know what it is. So I want to give you a little bit of context of how we got to this point today, what this community is and why we're talking today. In 2010, we had the opportunity to create a partnership between the 92nd Street Y and Mashable and the United Nations Foundation. And the idea of that partnership at that time was to create the Social Good Summit in New York, an event that would happen during the United Nations General Assembly. It's one of the most important gatherings of the entire year of global leaders. But frankly, it was not an easy opportunity for people to take part in that conversation. It was a really pivotal time where there was a new power dynamic that had been developing for several years, where people wanted to be part of those conversations with their leaders. They wanted to hear from those leaders. They wanted to talk to those leaders and really be part of the discussion on the big global issues and not have it happening somewhere over there. And that was really the theory of change for the Social Good Summit, was to create an open door event with a bit of a new power dynamic that would create a dialogue and a broad conversation and bring global leaders from the General Assembly and from the events that were happening in and around that important meeting to the 92nd Street Y as a venue and create a conversation, and then also to live stream it and invite people from around the world to participate in the conversation on social media. From that, we really saw the engagement, the involvement, how much people loved being part of the conversation, and we saw people from dozens of different countries who were taking part, who were watching the live stream, sending in questions, getting answers from the stage in New York, and we wanted to create something that was more dynamic, a more involved and exciting opportunity for people to be engaged. And that was what led to the creation of what at the time we called the Global Conversation. And basically what we did was we said, through the partnership, said, hey, we want to invite people around the world to host social good meetups. You don't have to be in New York to be part of the Social Good Summit, and you don't just have to watch the live stream. Why not have your own conversation in your own community? You can watch part of the stream, but you can also have a discussion with your neighbors, with your colleagues, with your peers, and the folks who are in your networks. So we opened up that idea and said, host meetups around the world. At the same time, we had new partners coming on board in the Gates Foundation, UNDP, Ericsson, that provided resources to enable that to happen. For example, UNDP, the United Nations Development Program, which has offices in every country around the world, opened its doors and said, if you want to host a meetup, you can have it here in our office. And that gave people a physical place where they could send something out online and say, I want to host a meetup, and here's where we can do it. The results were astounding, right? We had, in that 24-hour, 48-hour period, we had over 300 events in over 150 countries and communities in over 150 countries around the world, all having a conversation about the issues in their community, how they connect to big global issues, and how they can use technology and social media to drive change. And one of the most impressive things I saw about it was the way that those conversations had kind of wove together, and there was interplay between them. So we had people in Mogadishu, and people in Oman, and people in Florianopolis, Brazil, and people in Austin, Texas, who were all talking to each other, and they were picking up each other's conversations, answering questions, and saying, here's what we're doing in our community, what are you doing in yours to work on these issues? And that led to the creation of the Plus Social Good community and why we're here today. So we formalized, if you can go to the next slide, thank you. We formalized the concept of Plus Social Good as an opportunity to connect online. So there's an online component of the community, and also to encourage people and give people tools to host events offline where those conversations happen. But the offline events are very open source in that We ask people to stream them as much as possible or to put content online and feed back into that online community so the discussion can continue to grow and expand and can continue to cross borders and time zones and connect issues around the world in a very real-time way and in a growing way that evolves over time. And today, we've got just over a year later, so we're about 14 months since we launched the Social Good community. We've got 20,000 members of that community who are involved in these discussions in 150 countries. They have hosted over 200 events in just about 14 months. And their social media reach of those members of that community is about 6.8 million people who they can reach in these conversations. So the community will continue to grow over time as they're engaging, as this network is engaging its networks and bringing people into the discussion. And as an example of some of these events, we've had the opportunity to be part of discussions in Davos, right? So it's bringing a conversation to the power structure that is in Davos, meeting there, and the event was called New Power plus Social Good. And so bringing ideas from around the world, which we were able to crowdsource through some lead-up events and take them there and say, here's what people are talking about, here's what they want you to be talking about here in Davos. Similarly at South by Southwest, which is a big gathering in Austin, Texas, of some of the most influential social media personalities, some of the biggest businesses who are really thinking about what is next in digital and interactive. We were able to insert a social good conversation there that has continued to grow since that has happened, and that was done through partners there in Austin. India plus Social Good was a tremendous opportunity to bring together multiple sectors in India who are working on health, on issues of cities, and on climate, and have them cross-pollinate and think across it's not just my siloed issue, but these issues are all connected and we should work together. Those are events, the ones that I named, those are events where the partners, the 11 partners that I mentioned earlier, help support those events. But much more important than that in a lot of ways is the events that are coming out of the community themselves. These are much more organic. And that's where, when I said there have been 200 plus events, the vast majority of those have come from community members, from many of the advisors and connectors who are in the room with us today and who we'll hear from in just a few minutes. But events like Social Good Brazil, MENA plus Social Good, and PH plus Social Good in the Philippines. And these are events where one of the things that's really fascinating for me is seeing some of the results that come out of these. So in India, I mentioned this cross-pollination. One of the things that we heard repeatedly from participants in India is, I come to events regularly, right? And I work on health issues. But when I go to this event, I talk to people who work on health. I don't get the opportunity to talk to people regularly who are working on climate. And now we're making these connections and seeing that our issues connect, and that gives us an opportunity to go forward and start working on them in new and important ways. In the Philippines, a very specific project that came out of that event, and it was launched, called Project Agos, which is a collaborative effort to address climate change and have climate change adaptation programs and disaster risk reduction that brings together the government, private sector, and citizens to work on those efforts together. In Brazil, the event there, the Social Good Brazil event, helped launch a lab there that is a social entrepreneurship lab that helps people develop their ideas and get them off the ground, whether they come from the private sector or an NGO, but help them launch new ideas to help create a better future. So this community, led by the very advisors and connectors who are here strategizing over the next couple of days, is really creating a global conversation with local relevance and helping advance new solutions for change. So I'm really proud to be part of it, proud to be representing the 11 partners, and proud to be able to introduce this session today. The reason we did this session, they're here for 48 hours, basically, in this strategy and planning session, but we decided that, much like the theory of change behind Plus Social Good community, we should open this dialogue, not just have them here and then strategize over a couple of days and then leave. Let's open this conversation and stream it online, have folks come into the room and be able to ask questions, hear directly from the advisors. So it is our theory of change, it's in our DNA, and we wanted to make sure that was part of this strategy session, that it wasn't just a bunch of people meeting behind closed doors, but we were able to open it up and have you all be part of it. So thank you again for being here. And I want to turn it over to Corey Frazier, who has been instrumental in helping us develop this community on behalf of the partnership. She's really led the engagement with all of the connectors and advisors and helped develop the broader community of 20,000 that I mentioned earlier. So I'd like to turn it over to Corey. Thank you. Let's give Corey a round of applause. Thank you.